I cannot recall ever losing a listing to a more experienced agent than me as a brand new agent that was 24 years old that just moved to the city and didn't know anybody. And that is all due to understanding these 5 key things, especially the third and fourth, which are complete ninja tricks that I do not see anybody else on YouTube sharing with you. So what I want to do is break down these 5 things that you can do as a new agent or an inexperienced agent or a young agent in order to win listings over the agents that everybody in your market knows that are on all the billboards, spending all the money on ads. You can beat them every single time, and you're going to do it only if you understand these 5 key principles. So without further ado, let's dive in. What's up, guys? My name is Mike Sharp with eXp Realty. I train thousands of agents every year to scale their business the modern way, and these 5 key things are going to completely change your business. Now, of course, I haven't got every listing. I did really well, became a top producer very quickly, but there were certain situations where I went up against family members of the sellers or good friends of the sellers, and those are the ones that I unfortunately was almost down and out before I even started. But we did give it a shot and didn't win all of them. But I can't recall a single listing presentation that I ever lost against an agent more experienced than me that did not have some sort of past connection to the seller. So let's start diving into what you can do in order to win listings going into this next year. Number 1, get very clear on your value proposition. So for me as a brand new agent that was young, energetic, is I latched on to the modern way of doing business. So for me, I started being a student of social media marketing, of leveraging video, of advertising. And what happened is in my market, which by the way, everybody that's now getting all scared and fearful over the shifting market, when I got started, 27% of listings were selling, 73 average days on market, and 12 months of inventory. So what people are getting used to right now is what's called a normal market, not a bad market. We've just been riding a 2-year gravy train and now it's stopped. So let's talk about how to dominate during a normal market that we're now going into. And that has to do with what makes you different. Because a lot of people say, well, Mike, why didn't I win that listing? Well, why should you? What do you do different than other agents? And it can't be that you love helping people so much and that you care so much and that you're going to go above and beyond, because everybody says that. So what you need to do is have a very clear, definitive value proposition that you can tell people exactly what you do differently than every other agent. And that's why I leveraged video. And if you want to know how to properly leverage platforms like YouTube to attract clients at scale and how to convert them by using video as well, just drop a comment and I'll send you my free training. So what I did is I would be able to tell sellers, hey, I'm gonna get your home in front of thousands of more people, even the ones that aren't looking with a realtor or on realtor.com. But if the perfect property shows up in front of them, they might just pull the trigger. And guess what? It happened. So one of the situations was property didn't sell, multi-million-dollar property didn't sell for over a year with the seller's best friend. Listed it with me, 1 weekend sold. Same price, didn't reduce the price. So what happened was a guy was in town, he saw my Facebook ad, came to the open house. That property was on his childhood street where he grew up. Wife walked in, loved it, they bought it with cash that day. They were not looking for a home. They were not working with a realtor. They never would have found that property until they saw my ad. So I was able to prove that to people that, hey, I'm going to do the drone footage. I'm going to do the real Twilight, not the box binding stuff. I'm going to go above and beyond by marketing your property and getting more exposure. So that was my value proposition. You have to get clear on what yours is in order to make sure that you can explain what you do. Because here's the thing, the ones that win the listing presentations, it doesn't come down to experience. It doesn't come down to budget. It comes down to what you will do differently than everybody else, especially during the shifting market, because I'll let you in on a little secret here. A lot of agents that have been in the industry for 20 years have been reliving their first year for 20 years. It has not grown year over year. So the experience really usually doesn't mean a whole lot. So that is step number 1. Number 2, study the market data. This is incredibly important because people are just looking to find you as a resource. They want to believe that you have the answers, which is why they're consulting with you with your service as a realtor. So when we start looking at this, sellers want answers. So if you can rhyme off data and say, hey, here's what's happened in the last 30 days in this market, in this subdivision, in this community, in this quadrant, in terms of days on market, average list to sales price, months of inventory, expireds, terminated, all of these different metrics, well, they're gonna see you as a knowledgeable resource. And that's how I got out of the objection of, you're young. right? Nobody ever asked me how old I was when I was 24, had a baby face, looked like I was 18, because I dressed properly and I also was able to give answers. So nobody questioned how old I was or how long I've been in the industry, because I talked as if I've been in the industry for years, because I studied the data. So the more you can give clarity, the more depth, the more detail you're able to rhyme off at any given time when somebody asks you a question, the more they're going to seek confidence in you, because you're giving the answers that everybody else is saying, hey, the market's great, or it's not that bad, or it's not as bad as people are saying. Definitive answers every time. You want to give them clarity, because the one that speaks with confidence is the one that instills the belief in the seller that they are the one to work with. Number 3 is where we start getting a little bit ninja here. And this is where we're going to start talking about understanding the 6 basic human needs. Now, this has been the biggest game changer for me. Now, if you want to see a full video on this, drop a comment below and just say listing video, and I will send you a complete breakdown of this, of how to tailor it to different types of people. I'll briefly touch on it here, but that video actually has tens of thousands of views. People love it, and it's become really helpful for helping win every listing presentation. But this is the psychology aspect of it, because here's the thing: communication is the number 1 skill you need in order to thrive in real estate. It is the number 1 skill, not marketing, not advertising, communication, because the one that's best at communicating is the one that wins every single time, right? It's sales. That's what sales is communication. So understanding the 6 basic human needs, which I'll get to, is really important, because what I saw is that most sellers didn't want the big budget, didn't care about the experience, never even asked about it. When I asked all of the expired and terminated listings that I worked with what went wrong with the past listing agent, almost every single one of them said one thing. And guess what it was? Communication. So where a lot of agents go wrong is they're just coming in and they're just rapid spitfiring, vomiting information of the seller about, this is what I do, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how the process works. And nobody takes the time to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what are you looking for in an agent? What do you want? And what happens is, once you understand what they're looking for and what they want in an agent, you can cater your entire presentation to exactly what they care about. So I started finding the people that did care about the marketing, and I went heavier on that. I focused on the people that did want that hand-holding and dove deeper into that. And I was able to cater my messaging directly to what they cared about, because I asked that simple question: what are you looking for in an agent? So let me quickly explain what these 6 basic human needs are. And again, the video explains it deeper if you drop a comment, but either which way, let me just explain them quickly here. Number 1 is certainty, which is giving the seller confidence that they can avoid pain and move towards pleasure, or gain pleasure. So what this is giving them certainty that what you do is backed up by stats, or giving them confidence, which comes from your knowledge of the market and what you do differently. So this is why it's important to have a really good understanding of your value proposition, because you want to give them certainty that you are the one to work with. Number 2 is uncertainty, which is the search for change or something new and new stimuli. And what this is what I leaned into, which is doing something new, which is, hey, back in 2017, nobody was talking about Facebook ads and getting exposure with YouTube videos and drone footage and real twilight photos. So I said, hey, I can bring something new. You want an agent that's going to go above and beyond and do something nobody else is doing? I got your back. So by understanding that, I was able to cater the message to the people that wanted that little unique aspect of uncertainty. Number 3 is significance, the craving of feeling unique or important or special. And this is the people that are wanting their hand held. What they're wanting is they're wanting to feel like, hey, you're the one that's going to be spending a ton more time on their listing than every other agent. Because what happens with most experienced agents is they've got a ton of listings on the go. They've got all these properties and they're kind of all over the place. They just list them, upload them to the MLS, let it become a sitting duck, and then they just wait. Well, if you can say, hey, you mean a lot to me, I'm going to be able to spend way more time on your listing than anybody else, because I only carry about 2 to 5 at a time. Right? You can make that up, whatever your situation is. But if you only got 1 or 2 or 5 at a time, you can give more attention to that one listing than somebody that's got 20, 30, or 50 at a time. So this is one that is really important for the people that want to know that, hey, you're there every step of the way to hold their hand, and their listing is not just one of a million, their listing is one of one, and it's incredibly important. Number 4 is connection or love, which is the desire to feel connected, essentially, which again, that is where you start to have communication becoming the forefront of what you want to focus on. So for me, what I did is every single Monday, I did a full breakdown of every single thing that happened with every single one of my listings. What happened in terms of the showing feedback, the advertising stats, the market data, new listings, new expireds, new solds, all the competition. So what happens there is they felt connected to me, because they could text me anytime and I'd get back to them. They could call me and I would reply. I would send them the email so they always knew the data. So that allowed me to make sure that they really did feel connected to the process and not like they were left in the dark like most agents leave them. Number 5 is growth, which is expanding capacity, wanting something bigger. And what that comes down to is marketing and advertising. How can you get more exposure? How can you amplify the effort that's going to be put into this property to make sure it gets in front of more people? So that came down to, again, properly optimizing YouTube videos of that property. Keyword being properly optimizing those videos, because if you upload a video of a property and you don't optimize it, it will die. You will get nowhere, it will get no views, and it will disappoint your sellers. If you want to know how to properly optimize your videos, drop a comment, I'll send you my free training. But if you're gonna do that and you're gonna put a focus on it, they will watch that video. They will look at how it performs. You want to make sure that you optimize it. So that's a big one for me, was putting out the videos and then running ads every single day for that property of the just listed, of the coming soon, of the open house, of price reductions, or anything else that was going on, because that quenched the craving of people that were craving growth. And number 6 is contribution. This is one that a lot of agents actually lean into and do really well with, which is, do you give a portion of your commission to a certain charity? Do you give back to the community? Do you volunteer, right? And this is a really important one, because a lot of people seek contribution. A lot of people want to know that you're involved in the community, you give back to people, and that you really do have a special place in your heart for that area, and that you're giving back with your time and the income that you're making. So that's a quick breakdown of the 6 basic human needs. And now let's dive into the 4th key talking point, but the 2nd key ninja trick. So the 4th point I want to talk about is something that, again, I don't see many people mentioning on YouTube or anywhere for that matter, is having a more experienced agent in your back pocket. And what I mean by this is, when I was a new agent, I was getting a ton of luxury listings because of my marketing and my branding, my exposure, and my involvement in the exotic car community. So what happened is, sometimes they would look at me and say, well, I really actually do want somebody with more years of experience, or I really do want somebody that looks more mature in terms of age, or I want somebody that's worked in this specific community before, luxury community, neighborhood, whatever the situation is. And what I did is I partnered with my old broker. You can partner with a top producer, you can partner with a strong agent. So what that did is one of 2 things. If I was in the listing presentation by myself, I had a slide of my presentation edifying them, breaking down who they were, what they did, and why we partnered together, to give them the confidence that we would be doing this listing together, we could co-list it. Or if I was going into a luxury presentation from the jump, what I would do is I would bring my business partner with me, and then we would both tag team it. So he would bring the experience, I would bring the marketing. We came together in harmony and we crushed every single listing presentation. So it's really important to be able to have somebody that's got the experience, has the exposure, has the brand recognition or name recognition in your local market to say, hey, no worries, you're not just gonna get me, you're also going to get them as well. And the 5th and final thing is practicing the obvious objections. If you're young, you know you're going to get asked, or that's going to be a point of contingency, that you're young. So why not properly address that concern of saying, hey, I don't have many years of experience. People are probably going to ask that. So I'm going to lean into, hey, no worries, my brokerage has done this volume. I partner with this agent. I focus on these modern technologies that older agents don't understand. Handle that objection. Or, how long you been in the business? Oh, not that long, but I do this, and this. And helping people understand that it doesn't matter, because most agents are reliving their first year for 20 years, even though they've got 20 years of experience, right? So you know the objections you're going to get as a new agent, or an agent that has not much experience. Practice and role play those objections, because if you know they're going to come up, why don't you prepare yourself ahead of time? Because by failing to plan, you're planning to fail. You might as well get prepared so that when somebody actually asks you it, you're ready to rock. You've got the right answer for it. You've thought about it. You've thought about what you do differently and how you can overcome those objections. And if you have any objections, drop a comment and I'll reply to them for you so that you've got the answers as well. But those are the 5 different things that I personally did to win listing presentations over more experienced agents. Hopefully they help you, and hopefully you go crush that next listing presentation.